Well, it seems like Meghan Markle lost her marbles yet again. It is now January 16th of 2025, and things are only getting worse for Markle's sake, between, of course, everything happening with Netflix and everything else between herself and Hollywood, and everything continues to go in a downward spiral. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Meghan Markle that I think that we could all agree on here is that she is not only a very unlikable individual in the public eye, but she's also a very fake person, a disingenuous person, one that is very self-absorbed and continues to actually be that way, especially after engaging Netflix and really putting them into a corner to delay the show and blaming it on the LA fires, which, by the way, we all know it had nothing to do with that because she was actually asking for a delay well before the LA fires even started. Now, we already know one thing about Meghan Markle is that she's creating a lot of chaos, not just at Netflix, but also across the board within the film industry, within the Hollywood bubble, if you will, and everything else going on in the media. But interestingly enough, one thing about Meghan Markle right now is that we already know that she's digging herself into a more difficult situation than she needs to be. Now, I'm not defending her by any means, but I'm just saying that she's doing things that really don't need to be done at this point. She's creating a lot of issues upon studio executives, CEOs, and really putting herself in a bad spot. And you know what? I think that she deserves everything that she's getting right now because she's only doing this to herself. Now, this is where it really gets out of control. Now, we already know that between all the drama happening at Netflix, HBO, Warner Brothers, and potentially more studios jumping in to get rid of Meghan Markle, it's only getting worse. Now, with the entire woke media and Hollywood dealing with serious financial issues after the recent public pushback and backlash, one monumental development has more to do with Meghan Markle and the Netflix drama situation that is only worsening over time. Now, one crucial update to this situation now involves how Meghan Markle recently got very emotional with Warner Brothers after she was banned from an upcoming film, we talked about this a couple of days ago, that is going to actually serve as a spiritual successor to Horrible Bosses, a film that she was previously involved in as a supporting character, and she was going to be the same in this one, where she was cancelled from this project entirely and banned as well by WB across the board after they learned about the Netflix drama going on, both internally and publicly. Now it turns out that Meghan Markle is pressing Warner Brothers, where all hell is breaking loose essentially, where she is now yet again blaming sexism and misogyny upon the studio executives and those that decided to push her out of this project, and is now desperately attempting to create a legal case against Warner Brothers. To make matters worse for Meghan is that between not just Warner Brothers, but also the HBO drama where she was let go from her fitness series, other studios are now beginning to learn about the drama with Meghan, and a universal blacklisting in the Hollywood sphere is getting very close for Markle at this point. Now, Markle was best described as very emotional after WB decided to ban Meghan from any future involvement in their films, and her getting called essentially for this overall film and getting canceled from it. This new film was modeled after Horrible Bosses. The drama got so intense that she already gathered her teams, such as her agent and manager, and even a handful of lawyers, to warn Warner Brothers about their recent decision. Now, WB CEO David Zaslav is the one who made the call to boot Meghan Markle from their studio, as they are now cleaning house and don't want to work with actors or actresses that are either too involved in politics or those that are considered so unlikable that it would be considered box office poison to hire someone like Meghan. Now, before I move on about this, guys, let me just say one thing about Meghan Markle, is that she really is only putting herself into a corner at this point. This is exactly why more and more studios are going to follow suit, and they are going to do the same exact thing that HBO did, that Warner Brothers did, and which, quite frankly, Netflix should really jump into this situation right now. So we already know that Netflix canceled 2 other mystery projects that were going to basically have the same format as With Love Meghan, just doing different things. We talked about this, about how one was going to be centered on traveling, and one was also going to be focused on shopping. Alright, her life about shopping and traveling, 2 separate shows, apart from With Love Meghan. those were canceled and those were axed altogether by Netflix in light of the backlash coming from the public hitting against With Love Megan. Now this is where it gets interesting, is that we know that With Love Megan has a lot more dislikes than likes across the board, across all forms of social media, and that is a very telltale sign that the Netflix CEO, alright, Greg Peters, and among those that are loyal to him, they are going to convince the board of directors, and they're doing somewhat of a good job convincing one board member after the other to just not deal with Meghan Markle ever again and to not renew her contract, period. So everything else going on at WB is now really going out of control, essentially, after she is now, yet again, blaming sexism and misogyny and discrimination, blah 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 blah, right? All this nonsense. This is typical Meghan Markle, and as I discussed 2 days ago, I was shocked that she didn't bring this up toward Warner Brothers, but eventually she did. It seems like she couldn't hold back on making those claims that she was actually being excluded or alienated by a studio because of her background, when in reality, let's face it, it has a lot to do with her attitude, it has a lot to do with how difficult to work with she is, and that's just the very beginning of it all. Now, continuing on, between the CEO of WB and its many executives, they were all informed vocally from Meghan that her legal warnings against them, and it's beginning to get ugly, just like the situation happening on both HBO and Netflix. Now, Meghan Markle, who got very close with actress Mindy Kaling, is also reportedly begging her to stop working with Warner Brothers for the foreseeable future, to stand by her side, and to send a message. Between both the legal warnings and her emotional outrage happening behind closed doors, both remotely and in studio at WB, it's only creating wider issues for herself as she digs a hole further into the ground. This all comes as the Netflix contract deal is likely not going to be renewed after With Love Megan debuts on March 4th by Netflix, and how Megan is actually losing movie roles left and right, whether it was big or small, and is putting herself in an even more difficult spot financially for the future. The drama between these three studios are only worsening, and rapidly so. So again, like I've said before in the past, I think that Meghan Markle really is getting very self-absorbed beyond what we ever actually witnessed before. She's really trying to stay relevant, she's trying to stay in the limelight as an actress or as someone in the public eye on television. We all know that what she did in California was nothing more than a photo op. I think that we could all agree on that. Because, look, at the end of the day, there's no reason that they had to cancel a Netflix series that was already filmed, all edited together, a trailer was out, it was set to debut on the 15th. That's how finished the actual series was. There are no plans for reshoots or refilming or anything like that. There's no plans for re-editing the show. Everything is done. Everything's in, you know, everything's worked together, essentially. It's all baked. They don't have to do anything, so there was no reason to delay this thing, period, the end. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about the Meghan Markle situation going on at WB, and how everything is beginning to actually spread, like, you know, at a rapid rate at this point, because more studios are beginning to wake up. This is why we're seeing a slow turn of the tide, right? But it's a very slow turn of the tide, but they are beginning to wake up and make right decisions. So overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.